Here we go. All right. Good morning to everybody. Apologies for the delay. We had some technical difficulties. We apologize for this, but again, welcome to Diamond Training and welcome to today's presentation. Okay, without further ado, I'll give over to Ms. Pamela Nangombe and she can take over. Ms. Pam.
Hi, everybody. So welcome to the Diamond Training Wedding or Event Planning webinar. My name is Pamela and I'll be your presenter for the day. Thank you, Mr. Ipinge, for welcoming me. So without wasting any time, let's get started. The next slide, please. Mr. Ipinge, the next slide, please. Oh, okay, the next one. I think, yeah. Okay, so I'm not gonna read here. This is just a bit of my background, hey? So like I said, my name is Pamela Nangombe. So this all started, way back when we were little. My mom was a cook, so she would take us to her school, to her gigs. Whenever she gets wedding gigs or event gigs, she'll take us with when we're on school holidays. And then we had to go cut carrots, help her cook, to say. So I didn't like going there, but the only thing that really changed the whole twist was that after that, we would get pocket money. And, as a school student or a school learner, pocket money meant everything during the holidays because you get to buy something new when you go back to school. So that was what I looked forward to every time we go for the cooking gigs that my mom had. And not only that, every time when the bride was done dressing, or, about to go to church, we would go and see how she looks, or when we're done cooking, we'll take the room to the tent, the food to the tent, or take the food to the bride. And I just liked it. Inside of me, I would be like, oh, I can do better. Or if the decorators or the people, the whole event was nice, I'll be like, oh, I could do better, or this looked very nice. So little did I know that within me, the love of wedding and planning and all that was growing within me. So I finished school, studying, went to my job. I started working in the accounting field and I didn't last long. It only took me 9 months. I was like, you know what? Let me go and pursue my passion in planning, in weddings and all that. So I got training from the SA School of Weddings and in wedding planning, function decor, and flower arrangement. And all this started way back when I was planning my own wedding. So that's about me, that's Pamela, that's how I got to get into the event planning and wedding planning industry. So yes, so that's me, that's how I got here. So I've got 4 rules that I would like us to what? 4 rules in this webinar. Well, there's no such thing as silly question, please. If you have a question, please feel to ask. And there's no judgment at all. There's nothing like, oh, she's asking us, or he or she is asking a silly question. Please feel free to ask, okay? And I would like everybody to please participate if possible. And if I'm too fast or too slow, please stop me or just raise your hand or say something, give me a signal, or just write in the chat that, Pamela, you're too fast, please slow down and all that. So with that said, okay, that's just a few weddings that I've done. The next one. So is it possible, Mr. Ipinge, is it possible for me to ask the class to participate?
Yes, it is, but it would be better if you ask questions and questions answered at the end. Yeah.
So I'd like to ask, because I see that here in Namibia, a lot of people don't know the difference between a wedding planner or event planner with a wedding decorator. So, because there's a huge difference between the two. So I'd like to ask at least one person from the group to please, if you can please differentiate the two. If there's anybody that knows the difference between a wedding planner and a wedding decorator, because here in Namibia, everybody everybody thinks it's the one and the same thing, but it's not the same thing. Could we have one person, at least just one person, if possible, please? No? Anybody? You can just open the mic and say, remember, there's nothing like it's a silly question or judgment. You just say what you think and understand of it. Okay. Should we wait or should I continue? Give the difference.
There's the comment came through from our Facebook.
Oh.
Yeah, from Mr. Mike. Mr. Mike says decorating is just to basically make the decorations, and planning is now coordinating the event from start to finish.
Basically, absolutely right. Because, you know, planning is when you're actually, you have the whole event to say in your whole hands. You're planning, and that is from invitation to the breakdown, that's getting the photographers and everything, which we'll get more into it later in the next stage. But just planning is when you are organizing the whole event. And decor, you are just focusing on the look of the event, how it looks, whether it's a wedding or an event, how it will come out, how the client or the bride wants it to be. That's just the decoration. Because here in Namibia, I see people who do decor, they call themselves wedding planners, but they're actually wedding decorators. And then the person that does the planning itself is the wedding planner. Just thought I should clear that out before we move further. Next slide, please. Next. Okay, so an event planner and a decorator. Well, let me just say this before I get into it. Weddings and events is like the same thing. It's just that with when the way you plan an event and a wedding is the same. The only difference is that with a wedding, it's more intimate, you know, it's more personal. And with events, it's like mostly like, you know, corporate events are just like, I don't know how to say, it's not that intimate to say. So I like to define the wedding planner or an event planner as that person that helps, you know, the organization or the bride to help their wedding vision, you know, the vision that they have for their wedding, to help them come to pass. And that is from starting from invitations, you know, finding the decorator, finding the support involved in the wedding, the decorator as well. You get to find the decorator for the function or for the wedding. And that is to help them from start to finish to breakdown. Breakdown is after the wedding. You make sure everything goes well and you inspect that everything goes well on behalf of your client, that everything went well, because the decorators will give you a report on what they have done or how to say how the event went. Then you need to go and deliver it to your client or to your bride to say. So that is the wedding planner. You get to do everything. Securities, everything. We will get into the roles of a wedding planner. Are we good on that? Are we okay?
Yeah.
Should we move on to the next slide? Sorry?
Everything is perfect now.
Can we move to the next slide, please? Okay, the roles of a wedding planner and a coordinator. I mentioned 7 here. So decor concept, styling, and concept, decor, and styling. So this is when you have met up with a client or with a bride to say, and then you sit down and then you have to draw up according to what they want. Because when you meet with them, they describe when you meet with them in the first consultation, they will describe, or they will say, they'll give you the, what do you say, wedding vision. They'll say, I want this at the wedding, or I want that at the event. I don't want this and this and that. So you as a wedding planner, you need to come and sit down and then draw up a concept for them. With that concept is the one that you go with to the decorator so that the decorators can execute what you have came up with in your concept, in your decor concept and styling. So that's deco concept and styling. Venue search and evaluation. So you get to go to the venues and see, like if you don't have a relationship with the venues like here in Namibia, you go to the venue and see, to the venues and search and evaluate which venue will be suitable for the function that you have, according to the concept that you came up with, and say, okay, this hall of this venue will be suitable for this event because it's Black. Let me say the theme of the wedding is probably, how do I say, Halloween or something. So you need like Black and stuff, and then you have to go search for the Black halls or the thing, Black venues that will go according with your theme and stuff. So you have to make that evaluation, see that the utilities are fine, you know, the aircon, the toilets, the bathrooms, and everything of the function is okay, so that, you know, it just helps you and makes your life easier if everything runs smoothly. You don't want to go to a venue where you know that the power runs out, you know, they've how do you say, they run out of what's the word, English, low shading, to say, you know, you don't want that. Do they have, a venue can have that, but do they have a backup plan for it? You know, ask such questions. Just make the venue evaluation and searching is just to make sure that it will make your life easier on the day of the wedding, just so that you don't avoid things. Because if the venue fails you somehow, it's kind of linked to your work. So that's why you go out and make sure you search for the venue and evaluate the venue before recommending it to your client. The next thing you do is budget and payment management. So you get to advise your clients to say, like, you know, help to, first you draw up the budget and say, okay, this venue, for example, costs this much, and then that venue costs that much. But, you know, you guys gave me a budget, or, you know, the organization gave you a budget of an amount to say, but with your budget and what they want, you know, you get to tell them that, no, advise them and say, that no, with this amount, with your budget that you have, we cannot go for this venue, for example. We cannot go for this certain supplier because of the budget that we have. Payments, you get to draw up a payment schedule for them and advise the clients on when to make the payment and how to make the payments, depending on how the suppliers want their payments to be made. And the next thing is RSVPing. Ooh, this is the hardest thing ever. Because you have to call all the guests, you have to contact all the guests either via email or cell phone calling, you know, SMS. This, for me, takes up like much of the time because you have to make sure that they are RSVPing. But there's a new way now that I've seen websites where people, they send invitations, then they get to RSVP on the link. I see that is now trending, which is very good. Otherwise, if you do it manually, you need to call, you need to send messages, you need to make sure that they are there. And then during that call, when you are contacting the guests of the function, you get to find out, some will get to tell you as well, you know what, I don't eat this type of food, you know, I don't eat this certain food and stuff. Can you please indicate it in your menu that, you know, or have a special dish for me, like I don't eat fish, I don't do, what is it, are we gonna have this type of food and stuff? That you also get to find out during the RSVP management as well. Setup is when you going to help the decorators, you know, not physically to say, because you are just making sure everything goes well, is to make sure that they are, how do I say, they are giving, or to say what they have quoted for. You know, some of the suppliers will tell the client, no, I'll give you this, I'll bring you this and that, but they won't deliver on the day. So you are that person to make sure and say that, okay, this is what they quoted and this is what they deliver. Then you give a report to your client and say, you know what, the supplier quoted you for this, but they didn't deliver, or they delivered and they even gave you more, because some suppliers give you more than what they have quoted for, which is very, very nice of them. And the next thing, we have supplier recommendation. This is very, 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 it's very, very important. And you need to choose your suppliers very well, depending on the budget that you have as well. This also comes in hand when you have built a relationship with your suppliers, it just makes it easier for you, because sometimes the client doesn't have the budget, but wants that nice look and feel to say of the wedding. So since you have that relationship with the suppliers, it makes it then easier for you to say, you know what, my client just have this much. Is it possible for you to do that? But because of the relationship that you have with the suppliers, it makes it then easier, you know, to help your client have the best of the best, because you want the best for your client, isn't it? So you want what is best for you. As here, even though you have a relationship with the suppliers, to say it's advisable to have the best interest of your clients, because you don't want to recommend them to somebody who you know that won't be able to turn up, somebody that won't be able to deliver the work. Because though in your contract it says failure of a third party, it's not really linked to you, but it is linked to you because you recommended that supplier, to say. So you would also just feel bad because that supplier didn't deliver, though it has nothing to do with you and your business, to say. Then the supplier then also makes you look good, or can make you look good or make you look bad as well. So it's very, very, very advisable for you to choose your suppliers very well, like, and wisely. And on the day management, this is my favorite, because then you've done drawing up the venue, the concept, you know, you have done the venue search, payments, and the budget, everything is done, RSVP. So now on the day is actually just to make sure everything comes together, what you have planned, just to make sure that everything what you have planned, what making sure that the suppliers deliver, you know, calling them at hand, making sure that you have prepped them, making sure everything comes well. Then basically on the day is just to make sure everything goes well. And for weddings, for example, since the bride and the groom cannot be there to make sure everything comes well, so you are like leading the day. You are like, everything is in your hands on that day. You are getting calls from all the suppliers. You are, how do I say, you are running the day, to say. So this is my favorite, but just making sure everything goes well, and just fixing as well some things that needs to be done on the day. But since you're done planning, you're just making sure everything goes well on the day as well. There's another one as well, breakdown, just to make sure that everything goes well, and giving the report to your client once you have coordinated the day, you have planned, and make sure you need to give a final report to your clients if they ask of the report as well. So are we good? Are we okay with that? Do we understand? Is there something that I need to go through again, or should we move on to the next slide? Okay, next slide, please, Mr. IP. Okay, that's just the class that I attended. Okay, and then there's a difference between a wedding planner and a wedding coordinator. So it's basically the same thing. It's just that the coordinator does not go for venue site search and evaluation. The wedding coordinator does not draw up the payment plan. The coordinator basically just runs the day. So some organizations and some brides would say, you know, I want to plan my wedding, or I want to plan my event myself, but excuse me, but since on the day I cannot do two things at the same time, or to say I cannot run the show because I'm the host or I'll be hosting, they would hire a wedding coordinator just to come and run the day, make sure everything goes well, or the day runs smoothly, and help carry out what the client has planned. And wedding coordinators are usually hired 2 to 3 months prior to the wedding, but you find those that will hire you 2 weeks to the wedding or to the function. So you really need to come in and make sure everything runs well and go smoothly according to what the clients or the bride has planned. So you are basically executing. Yes, so that is how I defined a wedding coordinator. Could we please have the next slide? So the roles of a coordinator is actually to fix the loose ends and the loose holes that, you know, that the organization or the bride could not fix. For example, you know, they've been planning the whole function or the event for like few months, but they could not get a good photographer, for example, or they could not find security, or they just want a professional view of the event as well, and just to make sure everything goes well and that they have not missed out everything. So you'll come in, and then since with your experience and stuff, so you'll fix the loose ends so that on the day it runs smoothly, you know. So on the day it runs smoothly. So they need to do all the information. Here, this is the tricky part of coordination, because some of the people or clients, brides, you know, they like to withhold some of the information, but you need to get somebody so that they give you all the information, because if they don't give you all the information, it will be harder for you on the day of the wedding, because then you don't know, for example, who's the photographer. Let me say they didn't give you or tell you the name of the photographer. How will you then know who's the photographer of the day to say? So you need to know all the information and have all the information so that you can run the day smoothly. Because once you have all the suppliers, for example, you have all the suppliers, you know that all the suppliers are paid because some of the suppliers will come to you on the day of the wedding. No, my payment is not made. That's why I'm not going to take pictures. So that's, you need to really sit down with your clients and say, you know what, give me every information. Don't leave out anything. And you must have a way of getting out, how do I say, information from your clients without really making them feel like you're pressuring them, so that they give you all the supplies, so that suppliers or all the information that you need for you to run the day smoothly. So the roles of a wedding coordinator or event coordinator is to fix the loose ends and to run the day. Running the day is on the day management, where you're making sure everything goes well, smoothly, and bringing together what the clients have planned so that you can execute it. Do we have any questions so far? Am I too fast? Am I too slow? Are we okay? Anybody?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of questions that come through our Facebook.
Okay, let me first answer before we go through.
There's one from Skachana. She said, withholding information. Do you have a checklist?
Yes. Yes, you will have a checklist. You have a wedding checklist that you need to go through, just to make sure that everything is well. Because if you don't have a checklist, trust me, I have a checklist myself, though I've done a couple of weddings now. I have a checklist so that I don't forget things. And you don't want to forget. You as the organizer, the wedding coordinator or planner, you need to have a checklist, because you don't want to forget anything. Because if you forget anything on the day, it will backfire on the day of the wedding. You'll be like, I forgot this, but this is probably important. And also I can add and say that the couple or the bride or the organization will give you, their, how do I say, must-have. I have 3 must-haves on my list as well. What the clients want, they say this must be a must at my wedding. So if you don't have your must-have list or your wedding checklist, I tell you 1,000 times that you will forget or miss something, and you don't want to do that. So it's very important to have a checklist. I hope I answered your question, Ms. Kachana.
I think you have. She asked another question.
Okay.
Yeah, how many events have you planned and your best one? Maybe you can answer this one at the at the very end.
Sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, how many events have you planned and your best one?
I don't know how many events I've planned, and my best one was the recent wedding I did. It was a very big event, and it was a huge success. The wedding of Betty and Shapwa, the national wedding, like the people are calling it. So yeah, that was my best event so far. it was not only best in terms of everything, it was just best in terms of the suppliers. Like I said, the suppliers that I got or we used at the wedding, they were really, really pulled through. Though you have some suppliers, you will have those. I mean, it's a wedding, it's a big function, but it was really the suppliers really came and they pulled up, they brought their A game. So it's really advisable for you to get the right suppliers. Next question, or?
Yeah, there is another question from Salma K. She also, what's the hardest thing about event planning?
Sorry?
What's the hardest thing about event planning?
The hardest thing, I would say, yeah. I don't know. I would say probably is if everything goes wrong, okay, on the day, if things are just not going right, everything, the blame, everything comes on you. And the hardest thing also that I can say is, when you are dealing with people, and there are different types of people, not everybody is the same. People are different personalities, different backgrounds, different upbringings. So it's that can also be hard because it's just different personalities, and you need to really have the patience to deal with different people and different personalities. I hope I answered your question.
Thank you. You have, but you organized one of my events, and I realized, you're a very patient person. I don't know if you've learned this patience over time, or yeah. But I really have to say you're very patient, and you always come back, although even if the person is rude or the person is you always come back. So I really have to commend you for this.
Yeah, but you guys were easy clients as well. You're like really, I enjoyed working with you guys, just to throw that in as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
So do you have another question, or should we move on to the next thing?
Yeah, maybe we can move on.
Okay, so what's next on the list? First consultation. So as a wedding planner, you have to meet the clients before you even start drawing up schedules, or schedule is another role of a wedding planner. Before you meet up with before you meet or the clients get to agree with you and say, you know what, I'm gonna choose Tofi Designs to be my wedding planner or coordinator to say. So you first need to meet up with them. So on the first meet, the first consultation, I charge a certain fee. So once they've paid that certain fee into the account, or I have the money, then we arrange for a meet. Once we are sitting to meet, it's advisable for you to dress smart. You have to look the part, look professional. You cannot go wearing pajamas or just looking anyhow. Your trainers, I don't know, but just look smart, just dress smart. Nothing fancy, nothing too overpowering, or nothing to say, just smart to say. And then the second thing is, I usually, if we are meeting at a restaurant, I usually offer to pay the first drink, just to show to them that, I'm serious, and it's not about the money, which is not about the money, and that I'm ready to take. And this trick for me always work, if we are meeting, unless we are meeting the client at their house, but if we are meeting at a restaurant, I always offer to pay for the first drinks, because I just think it's nice and it's just professional, and it just shows the clients that, I'm serious, and I really want to help, and it always works, once I offer that, and then they're like, this girl is not really after money. She's really to help. I don't know why, but it just helps. So I offer to pay for the first drinks and for the first consultation. And with consultation, you are not eating, you are mostly just drinking. You have water, you order juice or tea, depending on what they want. So you are mostly talking, there's no time to eat. So it's only drinks. So, and it's just drinks. Drinks are not that costly. So that's why I offer to pay for the first drinks, because it just works for me the same. And the other thing at first consultation you should remember is that you are selling you. You are selling your work. You are selling what you do. The client is busy fishing around. Probably the client met another planner or met somebody else. So and is meeting you as well. So the person is, how do I say, is fishing, you know. So you have to sell you. You go there to sell what you have done, but don't oversell yourself. Just don't oversell yourself. Just sell your work, what you have done previously. And if you haven't done a wedding before or an event before, you can do a markup. You do a markup, you know, take pictures and walk around with that. Don't sell things, or don't go show things that you have not done. You take another event planner's work and say, no, I've done this. No, just do you, sell your work, sell you, because what if they agree to the work, another planner's work, and then they ask you to deliver? Will you be able to deliver? That's another thing as well. You know, only a promise what you can deliver. Don't sell dreams and then you under deliver. So just be truthful and say, you know what, I haven't done this before, or I've done this before, but I'm willing to help. You know, put the ball in the class, and they can trust you and say, I've never done a function before, but I'm willing to give 100% of myself, so that on the day the client knows that, you know, she has never done a wedding or an event before, but she said she'll give me an A game. And then sell the value and not the price. Selling value and not the price is, you know, how do I say? As wedding planners are not, we don't really have a lot of wedding planners in Namibia. We have few, very less than 5 wedding planners. I'm not decorators, wedding planners. So you have to, how do I say, what was I saying? So you sell value, not the price. So you go there, people are like, do I really need a wedding planner? Most people are still, you know, like contemplating, should I go for a wedding planner or not? So this is now where it comes. It's not the price that you are selling the value, you are selling the work. You know, if you take me on, I'll be able to do this for you, that, this and this and that. You know, it's not about, you know, how much I'm charging, so that when you sell the value, so whatever price you're going to give, they will be able to say, oh, but she's going to do that for me. She's charging this much, but she's going to do this. She'll be the one to do this. I don't need to do this and do that. Because being an event planner and a wedding planner, to say, it's, you are mostly going to work with clients that are busy. Let me say those that are planning their weddings and stuff. They are having their full-time job, so they don't want to invest much time on the wedding. They just want to, you just run them the day. No, this happened. Da, da, da. So you are, oh, am I making sense right now? Okay, so you, your clients are working. They're working clients, for example. They have their full-time job. So you are making the easy for them by planning the wedding. So they just come in and then you fill them in and say, I've done this, this has been done, that has not been done. What do you do about this? Da, 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 and advising them. So you are making their life easy. That is by selling value and not the price. Only deliver, or only offer what you can deliver. And then you must give the quotation within 24 hours. I give my quotation immediately, because there are still, how do I say? They still haven't forgotten about, you know, what you have talked about, the value that you are selling them. Because if you send it after 24 hours or after, I don't know, after, how do I say? After 24 hours, you know, they've forgotten the value and said, but do I really need a wedding planner and stuff like that? So within 24 hours, the value is fresh in them, so they'll still like opt to have you as a wedding planner, because wedding planners are not so common in Namibia. People don't really think they should have a wedding planner, which I think they should have a wedding planner, because it's just quite a lot of work. Wedding coordinator, it's just quite a lot of work, and you want to take that stress off from the clients. You find clients that how do I say, they are hands-on. They are like hands-on. They will even do your job for you. But you find those as well that wants you to deal with everything. So it's just to make life easy for them, so that they are not stressed, they are not worried, they just enjoy their day. You know, help them be guests at their own function, rather than them, you know, at their own function, they're so stressed and worried. Why is the photographer not here and stuff? I personally don't like to tell the clients if anything is wrong on the day. I can inform them after the wedding, oh, you know, this as a joke after what happens, but on the day, if anything or something goes wrong, I don't really go to them and tell them, you know, this is wrong, because I want them to enjoy their day. So I'll try to fix it by myself. If I cannot fix it, which is very rare, then I go to the clients, but I don't think it ever happened, did it? On the day of the wedding, I don't go to the clients and say, you know what, the photographer has not, or the MC is not here, or, you know, I'll try to fix it, look for another MC within the crowd, or just do fix it, because you're basically there to help them have a smooth day. So you have to fix all those loose ends, so that they can enjoy their wedding, and then you get to do your job as well as a wedding planner. I see there are the questions. I see who's raising their hand here. Mr. Ipinge, can you see that as well?
Sorry, I'm just sharing my screen.
Okay.
Yes, it's just somebody just said hi, Tofi, but yeah, we can just carry on, and then we can take questions at the end, because I do have quite a few questions coming in from Facebook and LinkedIn as well.
Okay, so what else is there? So basically, yeah, that's it for the first consultation. It's just, you know, be pretty, dress smart, look the part, don't go there looking like anyhow, and just look presentable. Remember that you are selling your brand as well. You don't want to go there and, you know, people will always talk whether you do good or bad, but just also you would want to be presentable and look like a professional, to say that's within the way you carry yourself, how you are, how you speak to your clients, and allow them to voice out what they want. It's not your wedding, it's not your event, and say, unless they ask of you, like, you know, what are your suggestions? But otherwise, you're there to listen to what the client wants, and you are just having your pen and paper, or your note, your iPad, whatever you're comfortable with. I like pen and paper, and I'm there with my pen and paper, writing down what they want and making sure I fully understand, and they explain exactly what they want, how much they're willing to spend for the wedding or for the whole function that they're having. So it's best to just be there and listen to what the client wants and write it down exactly what they want, so that you don't go and, as you're drawing up the concept as well, you know, you don't go and put in, you know, a plan, drop a plan, or to say a concept that costs millions of dollars, or, you know, thousands of dollars, but the budget is this little, you know. So you have to listen carefully and see how you can incorporate, so that the concept and the budget are like syncing together, to say. So basically that is it for the first consultation. Let us go to the next slide, which I think it's the last or anything. So when you are choosing, I think I said this. So once you came up with a concept, you know, you then need to start planning the wedding. And then looking for vendors, vendors or suppliers, looking for suppliers, looking for the venue and everything. And it's always advisable to choose your suppliers wisely. These people, the suppliers will help you. They can make your day or they can break your day. So it's really advisable, really advisable for you to choose your suppliers rightly, because these people can really make you or break you in the industry. So it's really advisable for you. I'm not saying have how do I say, I only use this person, for photography, for example. I'm flexible, for example, to working with anybody, but as long as that they get to deliver their work, I'm good. I'm really good. I'm really good. So it's really advisable for you to choose your suppliers right, and wisely, because they will be the ones to make or break your event or function that you have. So it's advisable for you to choose them right. Can we please have the next slide? So I've got a few or most of the wedding vendors, the important ones to say of the function or event. So that's the wedding planner, which is most important. I think, we do need a wedding planner for the event, a wedding photographer, and a wedding photographers. I personally, with wedding photographer, I don't like, no matter how big or how small of a budget, the function that I like to splurge on photography, because photography is one thing that the clients will have after the wedding. Things like cake and other stuff, they're important, yes. It will help the pictures come out look good, but the pictures is one thing that you will have after the wedding, like you will have forever. Like things like the cake and dress and whatnot, those are not really, you won't really keep or have after the wedding, to say. But with photography and videography, those are things that you'll have after the wedding, just for English, something to remind you of the day as well. Venue, you need wedding venue where the function will be held, catering, the people, the food. This is another major thing as well. One thing people talk about after the function is, the food, the drinks, and what else? And the entertainment. Those are the few things that they have. Things like, most of the things, but guest experience. For guest experience is catering the food. Was the food nice? Was the food warm? Things like was the food really, was it displayed well? How was it? According to the function as well, the food also from function to function as well, because you cannot have this certain food at this type of function, So catering catering is one thing as well that you need to choose your supplier very right. Wedding stationaries are things like the wedding invitations, the banners, the cards. Some people like the champagne stickers to stick on the champagne. Some people like bottles as well, t-shirts, all those printing stationery things. That's the wedding stationery. Wedding makeup artists, you need a good makeup artist, because if you have a good photographer but the makeup is not good as well, it will affect the look of the photographer, and the pictures won't come out looking well. And then we've got a hairstylist, we've got a wedding baker, to bake the wedding cake look beautiful and nice, or cupcakes, or whatever, dessert table, whatever the client wants. You listen and you get to think for yourself, which supplier will be suited for this job as well, and will make my life easier as well on the day of the wedding. We've got the wedding decor. This is very big. Wedding decor. If the decor is also not good, then people consider it not a good function, to say. Wedding decor, you get to pick the wedding decor as well, unless the clients say, you know what, unless you're coordinating and say, no, I've picked a certain decorator to come, so you need to then sit down with the decorator before on the day and just make sure everything goes well. Wedding videographer, very important. The attires as well. That is so that is why it's important for you to find out what's the theme of the function, and then get to find the attires or clothing for the function as well. For the clients to say, or like I had a royal African royalty wedding beginning of May. So it was nice. The clients had to wear African, look very African royalty. The guests were wearing African royalties. The couple were wearing African. It is just beautiful. It is just a beautiful wedding. And because the attires, the theme really came up and the people really showed up because the couple insisted this is the theme and you guys must, when you come to the wedding, come wearing accordingly. So it was nice also to get the clients or the suppliers that will deliver. So you need to go to the African, is there something like African dealers or people that does the African beautifully, the African attires, you go then to those suppliers that can deliver. Then you'll find another wedding and says, you know what, I don't really want African, I want the Western. Can you hear me?
Yes,
my internet is here tripping.
No, you're loud.
Okay, then you'll find those. Okay, and then you find, okay. Then you will find those and says, no, I don't want African. I want nothing African. So you need to find a supplier that will be able to deliver something that is not African. You see, so you need to find and know as well suppliers, different suppliers for whatever reason, because you'll never know when you'll need them because every client has their own taste. So you need to know different suppliers to say. Then wedding entertainment, this is, includes the DJ, this includes the MC, it includes the performers, should the clients want a performance or anything is included in wedding entertainment as well. We've got, this is not really a must because the dance teacher, because some of the clients, they are not so good at dancing. Some will claim not to know how to dance, but on the day, they'll be the ones, But should they say, you know what, I need somebody to come teach us how to dance, for example, then you find them a dance teacher so that they also run smoothly. Then you've got the marriage officer. This can be divided into two. That is with the church, like this for the couple weddings to say, if the couple are getting married and you first need to find out, one of the first questions you need to find out from the couple is that, is the pastor ordained to officiate weddings? Because not all pastors are ordained to officiate weddings. Then you need to organize for them to go to the magistrate court, get married before they can come get married on the day of the wedding. And some of them just want to get married. How do I say, the day that they want to get married is the day that they want on their marriage certificate. But if the pastor is not ordained to officiate the wedding, so you need to find out all this information from the clients. If the pastor is not ordained, then you need to find out and see how can we get this to make it work so that we have the same day on the marriage certificate, that the day that they are celebrating or they are hosting the ceremony, to say. And then we have got another one which is not really talked about or spoken about in the society but I get to ask my clients whether they're getting married in community or out of in community or out of community of property. It's not a matter of trust. It's just most people are business people. They want to protect themselves from business and stuff. So which people need to get more into. You as a wedding planner, you need to know, and then you need to know which are the lawyers that can, draw up the ANC. So you just need to get and know more of the suppliers so that you are not left out. Because I wasn't there. I just heard of a wedding that happened in the north that the lady didn't know. She wanted out of marriage of property, community of property, but she didn't know that they needed to draw up this the contract. So on the day of the wedding, literally the wedding was at 9 o'clock. So they were just sitting there until 2 o'clock because she was then trying to decide, do I want to get married with or without, what do you call it? With a contract. So imagine 9 o'clock, they went to go get married at 2 o'clock because she didn't know that they were supposed to draw up a contract because she wanted to get married in community of property. So you as a wedding planner or coordinator, you are supposed to advise or educate your clients if they do not know that they need to draw up the ANC in advance. So yes, I think that is it for now. Do we have any questions? Maybe we can answer questions.
There are quite a few questions coming in from the Facebook and LinkedIn.
Okay.
Okay, one of them says from Toivo. It says national wedding. How do you build strong relationships / choose different suppliers like venue, deco, and food?
Sorry, I didn't hear that well. How do I?
It says a national wedding. Maybe it's referring to the national wedding. How do you build strong relationships / choose different suppliers like venue, deco, and food? I think he meant how do you build strong relationships with different suppliers?
How do I don't know, your work, I guess, or how do I build all suppliers? You get to see their work. You can see, you know, this person has done a couple of weddings and is reliable to say. You will not know until you have worked with the person, or how to get them, choose them. Sometimes it depends on their budget as well. You know, if I, for example, have a budget of 2 Rand, but I'm looking at the supplier that costs, you know, 5 Rand, to say, that's not gonna work, or, you know, unless I stretch myself and say, I'm able to get that supplier because I'm able to afford that supplier, to say, or that supplier, I know the supplier can deliver because I've seen their work and I've seen their consistency, then I can go to that supplier and say, you know what, are you able to come and deliver this function, or this, are you able to deliver the service that you provide for this function that you have according to the budget that I have? Budget plays a major role, because if I have this much, I can afford, or I can get that supplier, or I can only get the supplier or not because of the budget that I have. You know, I love the work of, I don't want to name names. I like the work of the supplier A, but my budget can only allow me to get supplier C. Do you understand? So budget plays a major role. I hope I really answered your question, Toivo.
Yeah, I think you have. I think there's a couple more. There's 2 questions from Ms. H, and she wants to know how long before wedding should you plan? That's the first question. And then what is in a event or wedding planner contract?
Sorry, how long? And then?
Yeah, how long? And then the second question is, what is in a wedding planner contract? So she wants to know the contents of what's in the contract.
What's in the contract? Okay. How long to plan a wedding? I like to plan my weddings at least 9 months to the wedding, because it's then you see, you get unfold. Because if you plan longer than that, sometimes you get to plan and then keep quiet because you are then done with your work, or to say you got the contact, the suppliers, you got everybody, then you keep quiet because there's nothing else to be done. And then when you go get back to the wedding, it's like you've forgotten a lot of things. So if you're doing it, but it's always good to book your suppliers in advance, because especially if the wedding date is what, during the wedding season. You know, in Namibia we have wedding seasons. I don't know. I think it's August, December, May, wedding seasons. So if your wedding is, you know, or function is within around those dates, so then you need to book your suppliers way in advance. But if it's months like July, other months, it's easier, because then it's not really peak, and the suppliers, some of the suppliers don't get to change their prices according to the peak of the wedding season or not. I hope I answered your question, but I like it 9 months, but booking at vendors and suppliers at least in advance, especially if it's a peak season, you know, wedding season or event season, then events are throughout, but wedding seasons, then you have to pick them way in advance. But 9 months to say, I like to plan at least 9 months when the client comes to me, or the bride, at least 9 months. But you'll find those that will come to you 4 months or 3, 6 months, and then they have done nothing. So you need to then plan the whole entire wedding. What is included in the contract? You need to protect yourself, first of all, from third parties. Like I've said, like third parties are suppliers. Let me say, yes, I know I've recommended, what do you call this? The photographer. Sorry to just pick on the photographers today, but I've recommended what's this, the photographer, but the photographer didn't deliver. So it's my business is Tofi Designs. Their business is a photography. So if they fail, it's not my work. Yes, I've recommended them, but it's not me. We are different parties. We are different businesses. So you need to protect yourself from that. You need to protect yourself from failure as well of the weather and stuff, because I've found I was once blamed of the weather, so that I had to put it into my contract as well. Like weather, you wanted an outdoor reception and everything, but on the day it just started raining. So that's not up to me. Unforeseen circumstances are really not up to me. So you need to protect themselves. But you find some clients, they just want to pick a fight with you. So you need to protect yourself so that when they sign, it's in there and you know what you're doing. And the other thing as well, COVID. We know of COVID. What else is there? And I want to open my contract now, but I can't. So, and then payments as well. Some clients, you need to protect yourself with payment. And then you also need to state in there that you are there. Basically, contract is to protect yourself from the other client, which I think we can go through it in the class, or I don't know, but more in details, but mostly protect yourself from third party work, because the suppliers, like I said, they can make and break your they can make or break your function. So that is major. Number one, you need to protect yourself from them. The rest is just to protect yourself from, in case anything happens, you are protected. And you need to get your contract looked, or how do I say, you need to take it to a lawyer or something to look at it. You can just not draw up a contract. You must go to the lawyers. They have to look at it, because one thing you can mean one thing, but the lawyers will look at it another way. So it's advisable to go to a lawyer so that they can have a look and say, okay, this is to standard or to say, because there's a lot of things that can be we can misinterpret, but the law is with lawyers, or everything is something else. I hope I answered your question as well.
No, I think you did. I think there's a question in the chat before we go to our Facebook from Mimem Doroma. She's asking, when was your first event, or wedding, and how was it?
My first event was my wedding, first of all, which was back then. First event, wedding was the first one. Was it a wedding or is it a function? I think there's a birthday party. It was okay. My wedding first. When was my wedding? I got married in 2014, and then I got training in 2015. And then I had Salma's wedding in 2016, because that time I was not working. So it was in 2016, and it was a success. 2016 to say. So, but it officially started with my wedding, planning my wedding and everything. And also back then, with a passion that I had for weddings, but Salma's wedding in 2016 to say. And it was a success. Not everything went well though. trust me. But the client was happy. She really understood that and said that, you know, you need to try, you're not going to get it right on your first try. I had a very lenient client, but it went well. For because it's a lot, especially if it's your first day. And by then, did I have my checklist? I don't think I had my checklist with me. So things were just, vendors showed up, some of them, but it's just the work, the quality of the work, but the vendors did show up. Because by then also we both planned the wedding, but everything was on me. So everything went well. It was a success, but not everything went well, to say. And till today, I still have successful events, but there are still vendors or people that, you know, that did not come through 100%, but I would still call it a success. If the client comes back to me and say, you know what, Pamela, you did a good job, I was happy, I call that a success. Even though the other person or the other suppliers did not come through, the client comes back to me and say, you know what, Pam, you did a good job, I'm happy. That's success for me to say. I hope I did answer your question.
I think you did. Maybe we just have a question from us all. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's just in the chat there. Maybe she can just unmute her mic and then she can ask you the question herself. I see it's quite a long one. There's 2 questions.
Okay.
Good morning, ma'am, and Mr. Ipinge. Morning, Pam.
Morning, ma'am.
Morning.
Okay. The first question that I had was, in the first slides, you indicated you should sell your own work. So a lot of the times, clients come with pictures of fairy tales happening in Indonesia, so so you were like saying, don't sell something you can't deliver. Now I was asking, like, it's a two-way. Sometimes you also learn when there is something new. So it's a challenge for you to deliver the new thing. And then the second part also is, you do not always also want to like have repetitive decor. So you also want to put in a new idea. The clients choose maybe from your past pictures, but you also want to you want to tweak in something new, like a new trend, to say this is the new way of flower vases or something like that. So how would you advise on that? And then, sorry, the second question was where you said always try that your quote goes out in 24 hours. Now, when you look at some vendors and some of the designs the client wants, doesn't it sometimes take a bit longer than 24 hours? Unless it's just a standard thing, but especially like when you are looking at a themed wedding, not a color theme. A color theme is easy, but a theme like masquerade or like African in the bush, you really need to go and build a concept. And building a concept, just your mind, creativity. You just don't wake up in the morning and say, okay, there's gonna be a backdrop that is the open mouth of a lion. It takes time for you also, to get that juice. Or I hope I put it properly.
That's excellent.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You didn't say your name, but your first question. So if you want, I guess you're asking this because you're a decorator. So what you can do is that you can, instead of selling other work and stuff, you can, in terms of recreating the look, you can do a markup. You can do a markup in your own house. You can do a markup and set it up differently, how you know what you want, how your style is, create something different, take pictures, and then you can sell what you have, because that is what you have done. Then you get to sell that instead of taking some another person's work and then that's what you show. How about if you create that look and then you add your personal touches, then you take a picture. Once you have taken the picture, then you show to your clients, you know what, this is what I want to deliver, or I can deliver this because that's what you have done. And then concerning your second question about the 24 hours, sorry, please give me a minute. I just need to plug in my computer. Okay. What's the other question? 24 hours. As a wedding planner, once you have the budget, I based my quotation on 3 things. That is the location, the theme of the wedding, in terms of, okay, I know this is a theme that I've worked with. This is the theme that I've worked with, and I know how much it will cost, or, I know roughly how much. And remember that I'm not doing the setup. That's the decor part. I will just come up with a concept, take it to the decorator, but I don't need to know how much will the thing cost, because I just come up with an idea, draw up the concept, and then give it to the decorator. The decorators then need to, like I've said in the beginning, to say this question, it will be hard for you if you are a decorator. You don't need 24 hours. But if you know your work, you have done this before, then you can give within after 24 hours. But remember that you need to give your quotation when or after your client is still hyped. But as a wedding planner, I just get to see, okay, this is gonna be a challenging task for me. I don't get to execute the work. I draw up the theme, to say. So I don't need more than 24 hours to draw up a theme, because my job is to recommend, to do the planning itself, but not doing the execution, in simple terms. And then the other thing that determines my quotation as well is the location. So it's the location, the budget, and the theme of the wedding. So I don't do the actual work. I do the planning as a planner. Then the decorator gets to do all that. I hope I answered your question, or you can still come through. Mr. Ipinge?
Yeah, no, she sent a message. She says, thank you very much. You have answered.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay, there's a question that comes in from Facebook. Says from Mr. Mike again. He's saying, what is the worst thing that has happened to you at an event on the day? So maybe he just wants to know what he can do. So he's asking
the worst thing for me, I had an event, if I can say the worst, maybe it's because it's quite recent. I had an event that everything was just wrong. Oh, everything literally was just going wrong. Firstly, the MC didn't show up. You were communicating well and saying, an MC, MC can also make and break an event, because if the MC is, hyped up and, can engage with a, how do you call it? With a guest, then it will make the event, to be live, or it can just be a boring event. So the MC that we had hired decided, you know what, I'm not going to show. Not going to show. Secondly, the time, we are Africans and stuff, and I understand we're Africans, but if you are being African with your time, for example, and you are very late. So when I had a couple to say, the bride it took forever to get long. I'm telling you, no, the time, we have to get going. But the couple is like, we're taking our pictures, Africans. I'm like, okay. So when they went to the altar and everything, the groom was super angry, did not think it was a joke. And the groom snapped at the bride. The bride came to snap back at me. So you see, like I said, if everything goes wrong, all blame and everything ends up on you. So for me, that was really worse, because I've never had. It's just snapped in front on the bride in front of everybody. And then the bride came put the blame on me because I didn't tell them that they were super late. So that for me, that was really worse. Then the MC didn't show. Everything was just, from there, everything was just, I don't know, time and the venue as well. With one thing as well with the venue that you need to consider, I'm just gonna throw it in. You need to know, because some people, you need to find out, are they party people or not? Because some cutoff time for most venues is 12 o'clock at midnight. So you need to know, and then you need to schedule your program to be within until 12 o'clock, because otherwise then you are no longer allowed to be in the venue. So you need to go out. So if they are party people, then you need to find a venue that does not have cutoff time. Just need to throw that in as well. So that was one of the things that happened to me that that was the worst experience for me. But otherwise, everything went well. Any other question?
Yes, Ms. Mimendoroma wants to know, what do you do in that situation?
In what situation?
I think where she meant where everything is going wrong, you know, like you said, maybe the MC didn't pitch up. So what do you do?
You find another MC within the guests or family or groomsmen, best man. I don't know, somebody needs then to just take over and become the MC of the day. Though you give them the program, that time you have already a program set, so you need to give them the program. And yeah, and then you do the best that you can do, because and you need to keep calm here. You need to keep calm at all times, because if you are stressed or you are, then the whole event everything just goes south. So you need to be calm. Even if you hear the worst, even in that situation where the bride came to put everything on me, I just keep it calm. You don't have to answer back. You just keep quiet and take up the blame. Knowing, though you know inside of you it's not your fault, you just take up the blame for that day and then run the day. Because if you take the blame and say, yeah, I'm gonna get angry, you stress, trust me, everything else will start to go south. That's why I say everything is in your hands. The whole function is in your hands. So you need to be calm and just be collective, otherwise. And you'll find some bridesmaids and groomsmen that are just the worst. Also, one thing I don't deal with is the bride. That's one thing. Another thing in my contract, so sorry to mention I just remembered now, is also I don't deal with, I can recommended suppliers, but I don't deal with them personally. I hope I did answer your question.
I think you have. Okay, we have one final question from HK Van Beek. She says, he or she says, "Hi Pam, how much you charge for your services? I want to get married." Okay, maybe this one you can she can contact you afterwards on a more private capacity.
Yes.
So HK Van Beek, you can just contact Ms. Pamela afterwards.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think let's go for the questions. I don't think there are any other questions. I want to thank you, Ms. Pamela. Thank you for taking the time out to come to present. It was a really interactive presentation. Even I learned something. Yeah, but I think I actually have to commend you again for your calmness. You said you have to stay calm. You are a very, very calm person. Yeah, so I really have to thank you for taking your time out to come present to us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you really for having me. Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.
All right, thanks, and thanks for the participants. We'll be back again next week, Wednesday, with another topic. But this topic was very insightful. And if you have any questions, any further questions for Ms. Pamela, don't hesitate to contact us. Then we'll just share it with them and we'll get back to you. And again, thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you.